In the shadowy depths of the Atlantic, where sunlight fades and silence reigns, a team of divers embarks on a perilous descent. Their mission, to explore a forgotten relic of war, a sunken vessel cloaked in mystery and lost to time. But as they penetrate the cold, corroded hull, what they uncover defies all expectations. Long-buried secrets rise to the surface, challenging history and raising questions no one thought to ask. What lies within this underwater tomb, and why has its story been erased? Prepare to journey into the unknown, where every revelation leads to deeper intrigue. For decades, one of Nazi Germany's most feared war machines, the U-869, was a ghost, a behemoth of steel designed for stealth and destruction. This 250-foot leviathan, armed with 6 torpedo tubes and commanded by a captain with nerves of steel, simply vanished. Launched in 1943, this luxury sedan of death-dealing U-boats was built to wreak havoc unseen. The official story. Lost near Gibraltar in 1945. Case closed, or so they thought. But history, it turns out, can be a master of deception. Imagine a vessel so thoroughly erased from the records that even the families of its 56 crew members had no grave to mourn, no wreck to visit, just a name on a memorial, and a haunting silence. For 40 years, the U-869 was nothing more than a whisper in old documents, a phantom ship that defied all logic. No confirmed sonar hits, no wreckage, no photos, just wartime paperwork, notoriously unreliable in the chaos of a literal war zone. Then, in the summer of 1991, off the coast of Point Pleasant, New Jersey, 2 fearless wreck divers, John Chatterton and Richie Kohler, stumbled upon something impossible. Their sonar picked up a long, sleek blip 230 feet below the surface. It looked suspiciously like a submarine, but according to every historical record, no German U-boat was lost anywhere near that location. They had found a ghost, nicknamed Yuhu. This enigma became their obsession. For years, under brutally dangerous conditions, they returned to the site, inching closer to the truth. Slowly, the wreck began to reveal its secrets. German-labeled gauges, metric dials, eerily intact compartments. And then, the game-changer, a simple, tarnished butter knife engraved with the name Horenberg. This tiny artifact rewrote history. Georg Horenberg was a real crew member from the U-869. The ghost ship was real. But this answer only birthed a new torrent of chilling questions. Why was it here? Thousands of miles from where it was supposed to be. What sank it? And why had no one been looking in the right place? The U-869's final mission was shrouded in a fog of confusion and miscommunication. Initially ordered to patrol off the New Jersey coast, concerns about fuel led to a revised order, shift to the west of Gibraltar, but the U-869 never acknowledged. Its last communication was January 10, 1945, reporting fuel, but no position, no confirmation. German command assumed the worst, presumed it lost near Gibraltar, and closed the file. They had no idea that the real U-869 had been rerouted, and never got the memo. What truly happened will shock you. This wasn't just a lost story, it was a carefully constructed illusion. So how did one of Hitler's deadliest machines vanish without a trace, only to be found exactly where no one was looking? The answers lie buried in the cold, dark depths, waiting to be unearthed. And what those divers eventually found inside, let's just say history got a rewrite, and not the kind they teach you in school. A knife, a name, and a ghost from the past. But a knife, that seemingly innocuous object, engraved with Horenberg, was the first tangible thread connecting the impossible ghost sub to a living, breathing history. With this clue, the divers, John Chatterton and Richie Kohler, plunged deeper, cross-referencing shipyard records from Deschimag Agvasa, the very German company that built the U-869. Piece by agonizing piece, they matched serial numbers on engine parts to manufacturers' documents. Every discovery cemented the truth. This wreck, defying all official history, was undeniably the lost U-869, carrying with it the untold story of 56 vanished crew members. But as they meticulously pieced together the submarine's final moments, a revelation more shocking than the discovery itself emerged. One crew member, Herbert Gashevsky, was supposed to be on board. He'd trained with the crew, shared their cramped quarters, and drilled alongside them. Yet, a cruel twist of fate, a serious illness just before deployment had saved his life. Decades later, living a quiet life in Germany, Herbert, like everyone else, believed the official story of the U-869's demise off the Mediterranean. He had no reason to think otherwise. Then, the divers came calling. When they finally found Herbert, an old man half a world away, he was in disbelief. Everything he'd known for over 50 years was being challenged. But they showed him the photos, the salvaged items, the engine parts, and most importantly, the butter knife. The one etched with Horenberg, a crewmate he'd known, trained with, and presumed lost in a distant sea. Herbert confirmed it. That little knife, forgotten for half a century, held more truth than any official document, and with it, Herbert faced the chilling realization that he had narrowly escaped a watery grave, while his friends perished in a place no one had ever thought to look. Herbert never chased headlines, never gave interviews, but he quietly worked behind the scenes, his memory and insights adding depth no database ever could. He helped identify other crew members, verifying the U-boat's origin from the German side. He passed away in 2005, never knowing what secrets the sub's still-sealed compartments would eventually yield. Perhaps he knew all along, we'll never be sure. But what is certain is that a single butter knife unraveled one of the greatest underwater mysteries of the 20th century, a simple artifact becoming the key to decades of hidden history, pulled from the depths by two divers who refused to give up. Yes, a butter knife led to the truth, but what lay sealed behind the sub's corroded doors would reveal far more. Inside the ghost submarine, a time capsule of Warwin, John Chatterton, Richie Kohler, and their crew finally ventured deeper into the U-869. They weren't just diving into metal, they were diving into memories. The interior was a cramped, corroded tomb. Metal walls, once alive with the sounds of a crew, were now silent, cold, yet disturbingly well preserved. They found crew quarters with bunks stacked like sardines, some still holding rotting bedrolls. A few even had books nearby, their pages, warped but still legible. The mess hall, what remained of it, held plates on the table, scattered utensils, and an eerily preserved ration tin, as if someone had just stepped out for a smoke break and never returned. The air inside felt thick with unspoken stories, the emotional residue of young men, 1922, trying to kill time between patrols, arguing over food, or joking with superiors. These weren't just names in a history book anymore. They were people. In one corner, a popped-open locker spilled its contents, a pair of leather gloves, a rusted harmonica, and a deck of playing cards sealed in plastic. In the middle of war, beneath crushing pressure, surrounded by torpedoes and death, someone had found solace in music and games. It was a visceral reminder of their humanity. The control room was a twisted cage of buttons, levers, and broken glass. Most gauges had shattered, but some clung stubbornly to the walls, their German labels and metric numbers painting a vivid picture of wartime operations. You could almost hear the barked orders, see fingers flying over switches. Perhaps most disturbing were the torpedo tubes. Several were still sealed, raising a chilling question. If they'd been attacked, why hadn't they fired? If it was an accident, what truly went wrong? The torpedoes themselves were long gone, but all around the submarine were the eerie signs of everyday life. The details history books often omit: boots lined against a wall, shaving kits, a rusted toothbrush, and a cracked mirror that still caught the diver's torch beam. A man likely looked into that mirror the morning the submarine went down, fixed his collar, smoothed his hair, and thought of home. This intimacy haunted the divers more than anything. What truly shocked everyone was the level of preservation. The brutal Atlantic had sealed the wreck like a time capsule. Low oxygen, frigid water, and darkness created a perfect environment, protecting what should have disintegrated decades ago. Rubber seals still clung to locker doors, fragile paper, documents remained, and even clothing, including uniforms with Nazi insignias, was intact. It's jarring to reconcile those symbols with the personal items nearby. It made everything achingly real, not in a political sense, but in a painfully human one. These weren't characters in a textbook. They were terrified young men shoved into a steel tube and told to fight for a crumbling empire. Whether they believed in the cause or not, it didn't matter. The ocean didn't discriminate. It took them all the same. The U-869 was no longer just a submarine. It was a memorial, buried beneath the waves, waiting to be found. And thanks to those divers, the voices inside finally got heard. Personal items, sealed torpedo tubes, and a mirror that may have reflected someone's final glance. Something went terribly wrong aboard U-869, but what if the true threat came from inside? Who really sank U-869? The theories, the drama, the debate. Let's start with the most spine-chilling theory. U-869 sank itself. Not sabotage, not desertion, but a nightmare scenario every submarine crew dreaded. A circle runner. Imagine firing a torpedo, only for it to veer wildly, turning in a circular path, and a few seconds later, it's your own cough.